Will, I could get there in time. Jack, Coverly scowled. You know I don't lend Star. None of the other horses can cover that space in this time, but you should just give up. By the way, why are you in such a rush? Waring thought a moment and then drew a postcard out of his pocket and spoke earnestly to the boss while showing him what he had written. Coverly's face changed. Why didn't you show me that at first? Of course you can have the horse. He turned to the others and said, hey, you guys, round up the horses and rope Star for Mr. Waring. Jump lively. The other cowboys were amazed, but immediately did as their boss said. The long pacing stride of Coverly's pet horse covered the ground in a surprising manner. And at 20 minutes of 10, when Waring drew rein, he found that he was almost to the station. He only had 20 miles to go, but it was almost all straight uphill. So, he rested the horse, gave him some water and grain, and then headed off. Up and up they went, mile after mile, until the plain they had left was spreading out like a mat behind them. 2 miles from the top, Waring dismounted, led his panting horse along the icy trail, and the air seemed to burn his lungs as he struggled the remaining distance to the summit of the pass, 12,000 feet above the sea. 12 o'clock. He stopped and anxiously examined the horse that had carried him so well. There was plenty of life and energy left in Star, and off they went down the long slopes, around dizzying turns, slipping and swaying, followed by loose stones and gravel. They went faster than ever the trail had been covered before, and rounding a turn in the road, he spied a horseman approaching. He turned out to pass him, but the stranger eyed him sharply as he drew near and slipped down a six-shooter. Hold up there. I want to talk to you. For a moment, Waring considered the chance of riding over the man, but no, that stranger looked too determined, and his aim was probably sure. He pulled up. I suppose you want my money, he snarled. Well, you're welcome to it if you'll leave me enough to pay my fare to Denver. Huh, that's a good bluff, but it won't do, said the man. I'm the sheriff, and I want to know what you're doing running off with Joe Coverly's horse. Oh, is that all you want? Why, I've been working for Coverly, and he lent me the horse to ride over to catch the train. And he gathered up his reins to ride on. Hold on, young man, commanded the sheriff as he raised his gun menacingly. That yarn won't hold water. I know old Joe, and I happen to know he wouldn't have lent that horse to his own brother, let alone his cowpuncher. I guess I'll have to lock you up till the boys come over after you. Oh, I groaned. Look here, Mr. Sheriff, I'm telling you the truth. Coverly lent me the horse because it was the only one that could get me over here in time to catch the train, and I have to be in Denver tonight without fail. And then he remembered the postcard. He reached into his breast pocket and produced it. Here, sir, this is my reason for haste, and that's why Coverly let me take his horse. Keeping his captive covered with the muzzle of his revolver, the officer rode closer and took the card, and as he read it, his face lighted up and he lowered his gun. That's all right, youngster. I'm sorry I stopped you. I don't wonder Joe lent you the horse. I hope you won't miss the train. I'll ride down with you on account of that horse, because everybody knows him. Waring touched Star with his spur and rode forward, and the repentant sheriff was by his side. The road ran as level as the floor for a mile beside the railroad track, and the train was moving. It was gathering speed with every revolution of the wheels, but Star was also gaining with every jump. The crowd at the station danced and howled in their excitement. Will he make it? He's gaining. Wow, look at that horse go. Hooray for the black. He'll make it. He'll make it. And Waring, with eyes fixed and jaw set, rode desperately. 30 feet, 20 feet, 10 feet, 5 feet, inches. At last he was abreast of the platform and swerving his flying horse close to the track, Waring leaned over and, grasping the reins with both hands, lifted himself from the saddle, kicked his feet free from the stirrups, and flung himself onto the steps of the moving train. Phew! Waring dropped into a seat with a sigh of relief and was soon lost in thought. But he was roused from his reverie by a touch on his arm. He turned to find the conductor standing beside him. Oh dear, I must pay my fare. He reached into his pocket for the cash and all he found was a knife and some matches. And then he remembered he had put all his money in a little bundle that was still firmly attached to the saddle of the horse that was miles away. Oh well. There was nothing to do but throw himself on the mercy of the man in the blue uniform, and leaning over, he whispered something in the conductor's ear and ended by showing him the precious card. His expression softened and the conductor said, "I reckon I'll have to fix it for you, but the only way I can do it is pay your fare out of my own pocket at $3.66. You can send me the money later." This occurrence reminded Waring of a similar difficulty to be overcome when he got to Denver. But the card had served him well thus far. Perhaps its mission was not yet ended. Arriving at the Denver station, he disembarked and took a carriage to the nearest drugstore, and there he consulted a directory. "Please take me to 900 South 17th Street, he cried as he re-entered the carriage. At his destination, which turned out to be a palatial residence, he sprang out, cried out, "Wait!" and ran up the steps. To the dignified butler who opened the door, he said, "I wish to see Mr. Foster. My name is Waring, and I have a card with me." Mr. Foster appeared almost immediately. "What can I do for you, Mr. Waring?" he said. "Mr. Foster, you are the president of the Denver National Bank, which I believe handles the western interests of the Second National Bank of Boston." "Yes. I have an account at the Second, and I want you to cash a check for me. It is after banking hours, I know, and even if it were not, I have no immediate means of identifying myself. It is of the greatest importance that I take the Eastern Express tonight, or I would not have come to you in this irregular way." "Wait a minute, Mr. Waring. Pardon me for interrupting you, but it will save your time as well as mine if I say that what you asked is impossible, as you should know. My advice is for you to wire your bank for the